Remember when I got that Remo drum set and said this? I never played a nesting kit, so new goal for the channel, play a nesting kit. Today's the day we scratch that goal off the list. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored by Brownie Drum Company. Unboxings are a thing of the past, we're doing undrummings now. We got the bass drum, or at least half of it. The rack tom, and finally we can put the floor tom back together. Oh, I'm dumb. I almost forgot the snare. This is my first time with a nesting kit, so there's a few things I wanted to dive deeper into. What are the pros and cons of a nesting kit? Who would benefit from a nesting kit? And then finally, I want to see how it stacks up against, or stacks in, because they stack inside of each other. I want to see how they stack up against a normal drum set, of course in convenience, but also in sound. How much does cutting a drum in half and latching it back together affect its tone? But when it comes to all the different nesting kits on the market, I'm pretty sure that this is like the nicest one that you could get. And I'm not just saying that because this was sent to me to make a video about. This thing truly is a work of art. Let me show you. This is a Brownie nesting club kit made by Cameron at Brownie Drum Company, just a couple hours away from me down in North Carolina.
Hey, you boys ain't from North Carolina. You up there about Richmond? You need to take a bite out this here Brownie.
By the way, that's not Cameron. This is Cameron. We'll talk about that other guy later on. But speaking of taking a bite out of the Brownie, I suggested this as the resonant bass drum head. We ended up going with this one though. Now, I'm just gonna say it, this kit will set you back $4,289. That does include the floor tom legs, a nice carrying case, and even these custom pillows, we'll call them, that fit inside of the drums so they don't rattle around too much, and even a lifetime guarantee. Now, about $1,400 of that is because of the finish on this kit. This is an epoxy metal flake finish. It's not a wrap, it's not lacquer. We'll talk more about it in a second. So if you are trying to save some money, you can just go with a regular oil finish. But back to the finish, I was a bit conflicted when I heard that this was an epoxy finish, because if you know anything about epoxy, you know that you have to pour it. You can't spray it like a lacquer. And because drums are round, I was expecting this to be all runny and lumpy and all uneven, but this finish is as smooth as glass. This is their metal flake finish, and because of the epoxy, it really adds a layer of depth to it, which is kind of hard to see on camera, but this is like super sparkly, and every time you move, the light catches the different flakes and looks insane. I went with purple because I don't have any purple drums, but I thought a golden snare would really complement the look. Which again, this is the epoxy metal flake finish. I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's like impossible to see the seam where the drum is cut. So let's open this up. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4 latches, and she comes right apart. The shells are 100% birch and are really thin. The kit does have re-rings, and I learned a lot about re-rings from this kit. Apparently, the tightness in which a re-ring is installed changes the tone of a shell. I had no idea. So depending on the tonal qualities of the shell before the rings are installed determines how tightly it is installed. I'm a firm believer that you can get anything to sound good, but that just shows the level of detail that is put into this kit. Then a couple other points, the kit has aluminum lugs as well as an aluminum isolation mount for the tom, so that cuts down on the weight of the kit. The latches are made of steel, but they have a very high tolerance and do not rattle at all. On the drums that open up, one half does have the sleeve on it, which first of all acts as an alignment tool. and also acts as a resonant sleeve, which helps transfer the vibrations from one half of the drum to the other. So these are very high quality drums. A lot of attention was put into not only the design of them, but also the construction, obviously. And if you're looking to pull the trigger on a Brownie nesting kit, you're looking at a 4 to 6 month wait because they're 100% custom made to order drums. Now let's get into the pros and cons. The first and most obvious pro is that instead of carrying around 4 cases, you can carry around 1. Also, the snare does fit right here. It bulges the case a little bit, but I don't see why that would be a big issue. I also really do like this case because there's handles on the top and bottom of it, so you can lift it with both hands. I also just weighed the drums and the total is 43 pounds. And then the closest comparison I have is this hodgepodge of drums, so the depths aren't exactly the same. And yes, that still is the Brownie snare, but this setup weighs 53 pounds. So that's another pro, she's light. Con number 1, you are slightly limited on the configurations that will nest together. This is a 12, 16, 20 with a 14-inch snare. Now let's say you wanted a 12, 14, 20. That wouldn't work because the 12 wouldn't nest inside of a 14. So if you're really picky about your configuration and sizes, then a nesting kit might not work out for you. But also, I guess, like, the bigger the kit gets, the more it makes sense to have it nest, because let's say you play 2 up, 2 down with double bass, then all of a sudden those 6 drums fit into just 2 cases, assuming you don't play some weird wacky sizes. Pro number 3, because they all fit into one case, they don't take up a lot of space, which makes it really easy to fit into almost any car. Probably the worst drum moving vehicle on the planet is a pickup truck. Sure, there's plenty of room in the bed, but nobody's putting their drum set in the back of a pickup, especially on a day like today where it's raining. Try doing that with a regular drum set. Con number 2, this is something even I'm a little weirded out by, so it might just take some practice and getting used to. Every time I take a drum out or put it in, I'm scared I'm just gonna like bang the edge of the other shell. And you like kind of have to make sure that the shell is inside of the other shell before you re-nest the other half of the shell you took apart. So it is a little bit finicky and kind of nerve-wracking the first time you do it because you obviously don't want to scratch up the shell or put any dings or dents in it. Now, getting a tiny little scratch or dent on the inside of the shell isn't going to change how it sounds, but it's like buying a new car, getting a tiny little scratch on it where no one will ever see it, but just you knowing that it's there kills you. So now the question is, does the convenience of this kit sacrifice its sound? So for this test, I need a normal kit. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take a photo of this kit and load it into Photoshop. Then I can erase all the latches, join the 2 halves together without forgetting to do the insides. Then I can save this file as a PCX, which stands for Picture Created into Existence. So now I have a normal drum set we can compare it to. If y'all haven't downloaded the new Photoshop update, I highly recommend you do. You can't even tell. It's like the drums were never even cut in the first place. Even on the inside, you can't tell. I did my best to tune them and mic them and set them up the same, but that's kind of hard when you do the before and after a month apart. I know, I lied, you can't really do that in Photoshop. They weren't tuned exactly the same, but all that matters is that after they were cut and latched back together, it still sounds like a drum set. So now the question is, who would benefit from a nesting kit? The easiest way for me to describe this drum set is by saying it's the best of both worlds. Over the years, I've seen countless nesting kits, but the majority of them are either really tiny or have really shallow depths, and they focus more on the nesting than they do the drums. On the other hand, the Brownie nesting kit is a super high quality, very well made drum set that just so happens to nest together. So, do you gig a lot? Do you drive a small car that's hard to fit your drums in? Are you tired of carrying heavy drums? Do you need a professional quality drum set that's not gimmicky? Do you want to cut down on the trips loading in and out of gigs every night? If you said yes to any of those questions, I highly recommend checking out a Brownie nesting kit. And all that stuff I just described is the whole reason why Brownie started making nesting kits in the first place. Remember that guy from the beginning?
You need to take a bite out this here Brownie.
That's Merritt, and in 2015, two things happened to him. First, his band decided to get rid of their van and trailer, so all of a sudden he had to carry all of his drum stuff himself. Then also in 2015, he suffered from a heart attack, and once he recovered from that, he decided that something had to change, so he brought up the nesting kit idea to Cameron, and next thing you know, the first Brownie nesting kit was born. And from 2015 to 2019, he exclusively played that kit, clocking over 500 shows with it and had zero issues with any aspects of the kit. So the point I want you to take away from this video is that this is a very professional, high quality drum set that just so happens to stack inside of itself. But there's still one more thing I want to try with this kit. We'll just get rid of this. I'm gonna attempt to do this without moving the drum. I'm definitely avoiding any sort of warranty that is on this kit. We'll just prop this up with these mic cables. We don't want to put too much strain on the bass drum hoop. Now we have a pancake kind of kit, except for the rack tom, because that doesn't come apart. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this.